Hello there, everyone. Welcome back to some more Let's Play the Occult Chronicles. Craig Holden has begun his investigation of this mansion, and he has found evidence of cultist activity in this place. He's now seeing where the cultists might be located, and the off chance they're on the first floor, he will begin his investigation here. Of course, we know that they're not on the first floor. The cultists are somewhere on the second basement levels, 3 levels below this place. But we'll pretend that the sound is filtering through the heating ducts or something of the sort, making him second guess his normal instincts. So far, Craig Holden is looking okay. We've gained a few points in sanity for the adventure we've had so far, and a new spell, and some charges for our spells. And if there was any doubt there were cultists here, we have found a cultist patrol. You have stumbled into an armed patrol of cultists. You hear shouting and then see the flash of weapons being fired. They don't intend to ask any questions. Normally in the game, everyone, for this encounter, you can only either attack the cultists or flee. I have added a psionic way to deal with cultists, and a magical way as well. We will blast them to smithereens. You enjoy nothing more than a good stand-up firefight, but the heat you're packing is of a magical variety. Okay, so it's not a bad hand, although we have a spread of cards from every single suit. We only have one face card, the Queen of Swords. So let's hope that this spell is enough to defeat the cultists. Looks like we did some damage. Looks like we took one down, but only one, so not enough. You managed to down one of them, but the others are still standing. Hopefully your failure won't result in death. Okay, so that's a fix I have to do. Question mark in spell failure for cultists. Let's see how many bullets we take to the face. Ah, got grazed. Again, we'll try it again. It's the best chance we got. We again only have one face card and a variety of other cards, but we might be able to do this. We can take the Ace of Swords with our 2. And we can take that Eight of Swords with our Knight. Awesome. We could cast a spell to make some pages or something of the sort, but I don't have the cards necessary, and well, that's it. So, we're done. The cultists' ruined bodies lie strewn across the floor. You pause to see if they were carrying any magical equipment. Oh, this is incorrect. I gotta change this description. Success change. I used to let these cultists, give you arcane energy. I have taken that away, and I just given them the same chance of getting bullets that you would have normally had you beaten them up with physical attacks. Oh, nice. We recovered 2 life, so I guess we drew the life force out of one of them. We are a mage, after all. Still no experience. Points though. Everyone, I'll be taking a break soon. I have dinner cooking, just as a heads up. So there'll be a bit of an awkward cut at some point. That sound was us detecting a secret door. Here it is. There can be secret doors, and there often is in these hallways. That's a locked secret door, though. That would be too difficult for us to pick the lock of at the moment. So that will just have to sit... Oh! There's no other way around the mansion? What an interesting mansion this is. I don't think I've ever seen this. Normally, there's another way you can go out this side of the mansion, but there isn't this time. This will be difficult, though. You have discovered a secret wooden door. It blends in almost seamlessly with the wall, but your keen eyes were still able to detect it. Finding it is one thing. Figuring out how to open it is another. So our best chance is to find the activation mechanism. You examine the door and decide that you might be able to figure out how to activate the door. What? That seems a bit odd. Locked secret door description. Alright, let's try finding it. We're not very good at this. Alright, we might have found something, but it ended up being not the right way to open it. It seems you're not very good at this sort of thing. Secrets? Doors are stupid. Secrets. Doors. Okay, we'll fix that typo as well. These typos were just a normal game. Don't worry, I will eventually have all of them remedied. 2 cards. This could go really badly for us. Okay. Failing a lockpick challenge can result in you grabbing ill omens, which would be a nightmare this early in the game. We'll try again. An ace, a 2, and a 4, but we do have 2 queens. Nice. That's enough that we succeed. Wow, we get to actually use our 4 of pentacles on the 3. You search around the door for anything of note and quickly zero in on some promising locations. After fiddling around with several bumps and nooks, the mechanism clicks, and the door slowly opens. 2 experience points. Wonderful. Let's go ahead and use those. Let's increase our pentacles score by 1. I think the next thing we'll do will either be increasing our pentacles again, or grabbing a skill card to improve our cups and wands attributes. Probably wands one more time. That will let us reliably cast spells. Okay. Well, we figured out that there's more to this first floor than we originally thought. Let's see what else is here. A dining room. A disturbing tapestry. Your attention is drawn to an old tapestry hanging on the wall that depicts a medieval battle of some sort. It looks like it should be in a museum. Examining the battle scene a little closer, you immediately notice the large red hand that divides 2 groups of armored knights. Suddenly, the battle seems to come to life. Knights charge the hand on both sides and are knocked to the ground. You stare at it in amazement, wondering if you are hallucinating. Your eyes widen in disbelief as the battle unfolds before you. A ghostly vapor seems to enshroud the tapestry. Gotta pass a horror check first. The first time we're seeing a living painting, apparently. And we do so. Awesome. Your mind is strong. You've seen things far worse than this. You remember the night that you spent in that museum at Miskatonic University. If you could survive that, then this should be no problem. I don't know. We only had 10 sanity walking into here. Maybe that night actually drained a great deal of our sanity. The tapestry is obviously animated by some type of sorcery. It might even be possessed by some malign spirit. You should proceed with caution. It isn't unheard of for something like this to function as a doorway or portal to another dimension. Once in, you might not get back out. This is part of a quest, and the second part of it, so I will leave this untouched. I do, by the way, like that you can see the streams of energy coming out of it. It's like a portal into another realm of some sort, rather than just a tapestry on the wall. Alright, nothing else in the grand dining room. We'll go back this way and check these 2 spots eventually. A locked skull door. Let's take a look at it really quick. You see a locked wooden door with a carved, grinning ornamental skull mounted on it. The skull glares at you ominously, and you feel the hairs on the back of your neck stand on end. The skull's teeth look like they might be keys of some type. Ooh, this is not a good chance. We will leave this alone. I would want 1 more pentacles and 1 more wands before I make the attempt to open that door. Another locked door. You see a locked wooden door. There is a worn keyhole right where it belongs, but no sign of a key anywhere. I would want 1 more wands before I fiddle with that. A poison gas trap. You feel your foot pressed down on the pressure plate and then hear a click as tablets hit the pan of acid. A cloud of poisonous gas erupts from the floor beneath us. We have a slightly better chance to fall to the floor to avoid the gas, so we'll try that. You notice that the gas is rising in a cloud as if it was being shot upward. You decide to cover your mouth and hit the deck to get out of the way. Well, that's not a very good chance for us. We need a low-level cups card, or we're failing this challenge. We fail it. You misjudge the cloud and fall right through it. You hope that you didn't get any in your lungs. Thankfully, we didn't. Wow, that was close. Hello, office. We'll explore the office, everyone, and then I have to go get my dinner. A spray of darts. You feel your footstep down on the pressure plate, and then hear the pneumatic sounds of darts being shot through blow tubes. You catch a glimpse of the deadly swarm of needle-tipped killers heading your way. Again, our best chance is to use this because our wands is higher than our swords. You notice what you think is a gap in the wall of darts heading your way. You decide to crouch into it. This could go well. Alright, we won. Now, avoiding traps has a good chance of getting experience, but we'll have a very low chance because we just barely won the challenge. You position yourself so that all the darts miss you completely. So many locked doors, but we need one more wands and pentacles first. A pile of papers. You see a bunch of papers spread out on the top of a desk. Among the clutter are an assortment of old envelopes, letters, and even a few parchment papers. I want to check this, but I want more points in wands and pentacles first. You can get good experience points and other things from a pile of papers, so we're going to leave it there. And everyone, my dinner's going off, so I'll be right back. Sorry. Dried cherries are delicious. Okay. Like sweeter, tastier raisins. Okay, that's enough Cthulhu sounds, Tim. Let's put the raisins away and continue. Alright, lots of locked doors. Many locked doors are in this place. And until we can get our wands up a rank, I'm not really comfortable trying to pick them. That means that we would need to get a skill card next. So that is quite some distance away from where we currently are. Okay. We'll check the hospital room. There can be 2 encounters in this location. One of which would be the zombie nurse, and the other would be the zombie patient. We might also get both of them in here. Looks like we will. Alright. Let's do this. The nurse. You see a figure shuffling towards you. Your first thought is that it must be injured. Then you notice the distinctive hat of a nurse. But what steps out from the gloom is not here to help you. If it was once human, it certainly isn't now. You wonder what type of terrible medical experiment gone wrong could have created such a horror. The terrible gurgling sounds that the creature makes threaten to drive you over the edge. Okay, well, it's just a horror check. What I mean by that is that as our character will generally do well in horror checks, being that we're a mage, we're likely to win more of these than we lose, and as such, pick up enough sanity to make up for losing the occasional horror check that we have thrown in front of us as well. Your mind is strong. You survived 10 weeks in the recovery ward with Nurse Ratchet. This looks like a stroll in the park compared to that. The disfigured nurse creature seems intent on helping you. You will either need to fight or flee. So normally the game only lets you attack the creature or run. I have added a magical way to... What the heck? Difficulty 0? That's a mistake. Oh. Difficulty equals 0. That is totally a mistake. There is nothing I can do to fix that because of how the game loads the files in. So we'll just have to beat her. I'm really sorry, everyone. Well, it turns out we didn't get a good hand anyway. We have 1 face card. The rest are not face cards. Okay, well, we just barely win, so I don't feel too bad about that. The corpse's body finally stops moving, withered and broken by your magic. Looks like you still have a few tricks up your sleeves. Okay, we're going to hold on to that experience point because I'm not 100% sure what I want next. I'll probably have to start saving for a skill card, but another Pentacles could be really useful and would let us begin casting spells more reliably. A zombie patient. Your attention is drawn to an old iron bed that seems to have a large lump lying under some old dirty covers. You approach carefully and notice the shape of a body. A blanket is pulled up over the body's head. Curious as to what is underneath, you slowly pull back the cover. A grizzled corpse, perhaps a patient who passed away, lies on the bed. Suddenly, it turns its head towards you and hisses. Your eyes widen in disbelief as an undead patient rises from its hospital bed. 2 queens? We'll use the queen here. It's a horror check, which means that we... Okay, we can gain the occasional edge upgrade from a horror check. So I guess we should try to gain a good amount of points over what we need. Your mind is strong. You've seen things far worse than this. The undead patient sits up and then turns and plants its feet on the floor. You are certain that it's upset about a lot more than its hospital bill. So this is a creature I have not modded. So I am stuck with trying to fight it or run. We will try to run because there's no way I'm winning this challenge. Why is it difficulty 10? Difficulty lower. I make this statement, everyone, because this is a creature you fight on the first floor, but the modifier makes it seem like this would be something we fight in the attic or the third floor. The second floor. That's a little too strong for just a simple zombie. Well, in any case, we're going to try to run. We do not have a good hand. You turn to run, but the zombie grabs your leg. You struggle to get away, pulling the thing across the floor as it tries to bring you down. Again, we try to run. We get one more card and one more trick, and that will be enough to get us away. You have no problem getting away this time. It's old, slow, and dead hospital from this old, slow, and dead hospital ward inhabitant. The creature doesn't follow us, so we can just get away from it. No problem. I've been tempted to make some of these creatures that you tried to flee from chase you. I don't think any currently spawned would give chase. Yeah, nothing we have currently encountered would give chase, but there are a few creatures that would make sense to have them do so, and I can mod the game to make that happen. A study. We can normally get a Rishaka or maybe an alchemist in this location, I think. Haunted suit of armor. Your attention is drawn to an old suit of armor standing guard in the room. As you strain to make out its features, you realize something is terribly wrong. A sudden chill shoots down your spine and a sense of dread engulfs you. There is dark sorcery involved in this, and it nibbles at your sanity. Your eyes widen in disbelief as the cursed armor turns to meet your gaze. You must fight to keep your sanity, and we have, as usual, only one face guard. You will note that this is something which will be very consistent in the game, and I think the game has been programmed to try to only give you one face guard most of the time. Thankfully, we did get a single Ace of Cups, which is enough for us to play our Queen of Cups. Your mind is strong. You've seen things far worse than this. The haunted suit of armor is animated by some evil sorceress artifice. Such a curse would require great power and forbidden knowledge. Its gaze is locked on you, and you sense an intelligence of some sort. Let's talk to it. This will help us, this will start a quest for us. I think we only have one of those so far. You sense a keen intelligence before you. An aura of sadness permeates its very being. You also sense desire. Perhaps we can figure out what, if anything, this cursed suit of armor wants? Not with that roll, we're not gonna. Oh, actually, okay, we can win. And now I'm going to choose to fail. And why am I going to do that? So this is a persuasion check. It's not going to punish us overly much if we fail. I don't think we can gain an impairment or instant insanity card here. But I think we can lose sanity all the same. I want a better draw than what I got, because I would like to win this challenge by more points than just maybe 2. So let's fail this challenge on purpose. You attempt to make contact with the haunted armor, but your efforts fail. Let's try it again. No, we'll fail again. I can draw better cards than that. This is kind of dangerous to do, depending upon the challenge that you're doing. I once did this with a challenge where I only needed to score 1 point, and I only needed to draw 1 card, but I drew an impairment because I was trying to get better cards in my hand. So I'm willing to risk it here because this is just a normal persuasion check. There we go. So this, even though we have an ace and a 2, we also have 2 knights and a queen. So I'm willing to make the attempt to get more points here. And we do. Excellent. This is because I want many more points than our target number, so I have a chance to get more rewards. The intelligence speaks to you. The sadness and anguish are nearly overwhelming, but you understand that it wants you to break its curse. 500 years ago, a Subotic witch stripped the knight's soul from his body, sealed it into the armor, and bound the key within a small glass bead. The bead was taken by a common thief who perished in this house 30 years ago. The haunted armor cannot use the key itself, but perhaps you can. Okay, we'll come back for that. We picked up 2 more experience points. We could definitely increase our pentacles now, but we'll spend it instead on a skill card. That's a bit risky this early in the game, because we're going to have to spend another 4 points to increase our wands skill, but we're going to do it anyway. The other way upstairs. Let's step upstairs briefly, just to get that on the map. And it looks like we would have to take that door to get over here somehow, and work our way back back downstairs. Still, that does give me a way to get to the other side of the house a little faster than normal, because, well, maybe. Normally we'd have to walk down this way, back up through here, through the secret door, down this passage to get back to these 2 quests. So this gives us a faster way, I'm going to hope, to reach that area of the mansion. Story advanced. Token drawn. A madness in the air. The will of the great tentacled one begins to stir and already begins to influence events in our dimension. It is madness to stand against this. Alright everyone, that's the first of the story tokens drawn. Currently, all challenges that involve cups as a primary suit receive a -1 modifier to the number of trick cards placed on the board while this story con is active. So, the story text and the penalty do not necessarily coincide. I've gotten this text before, and it has a different penalty. But just know that that sound that we heard, that, you know, it sounded like, what is it, Twinkie from Buck Rogers there? Well, when we hear that sound, a more evil version of it, it means that we have drawn a bad story token. There are good story tokens as well. In this case, it will make it harder for us to win cups challenges. That will mostly be traps and fleeing encounters. Okay, this looks like an art room of some sort. I see paintings in the center and statues around. Let's see what's in this room. The Iron Maiden. You approach what appears to be a metal coffin. Suddenly, you stop dead in your tracks. A wave of horror sweeps over you. The coffin is actually an elaborate Iron Maiden, and it radiates a pure evil that undermines the foundations of your sanity. You steel your mind against the thing that occupies the metal monster. You feel it probe your mind for some weakness. It found us wanting. Your eyes widen in horror. You are consumed by a vision of blood that seeps from the monstrosity in endless tears until it's nearly a wave of crimson. Reminds me of that one scene from, what was it? Shaolin Soccer, where the demon mage is imprisoned down below in the basement, and you see all this blood gush out of the door when the guy thinks about releasing him. You sense the ancient evil that resides in this steel monster. You recall in your mind a file from a case in the Hoyabasu region of Romania in the 1640s. A mad prince forged it from the melted down holy relics of the surrounding towns and then tempered it in a giant vat filled with the blood of virgin peasant girls. A ritual of some sort empowered the vessel to serve as the repository of an evil spirit that had bargained with the prince. It must abide there even now. So this encounter only serves... So I don't think there's anything that requires us to interact with this. I don't think it's part of a quest. However, we have the option to do this, and this can give us a unique edge if we succeed. However, our cups are only 2. So, and we're drawing 1 less trick thanks to the current story token. So I will leave this alone at this point. I believe the edge gives you some resistance against poison traps or poison damage. There aren't too many things which can poison you in this game, but it's helpful to have that when you encounter them. Wow, this is apparently a torture room, a haunted guillotine. You see the outline of its distinctive shape in the gloom. It still takes you a second or two to realize exactly what it is, a guillotine. This, however, is no normal guillotine. The mouton and blade, pulled up high, glistens with wet blood, and the bascule seems to beckon to you. You feel tired, suddenly, and then you realize that you have somehow, unknowingly, taken a few more steps towards the death machine. You feel a wave of panic engulf you as you realize that this cruel instrument of death is slowly drawing you closer. You realize that you must resist its siren call or risk losing sanity and just possibly your head. Apparently, Craig is very familiar with these devices and is terrified of them. This wood and metal monster has consumed hundreds of souls, and you feel your last barriers of resistance begin to buckle and eat away at your sanity. Whatever you do, don't lay down and put your head in the lunette? Is that how you say that? The guillotine is a French weapon, I believe, or means of execution. You stand before a work of art. Polished wood and burnished brass fittings adorn the guillotine. The craftsmanship is astonishing, and the splattered blood detracts from it not at all. You can also sense the arcane curse that has bound an evil spirit to this horrible contraption. How many victims have caught sight of it only to find themselves sleepwalking to their doom? We can try to get rid of the curse. We actually have a decent chance to destroy it. However, this is part of a quest. And we do not have the first part of that quest, so we will leave it here. We're just getting unlucky, actually. We're getting unlucky. We're not finding a... We've been through a great deal of this first floor, and we haven't found most of the starting quests yet. Or the ones we have found, I've avoided cultist guardians. A group of cultists emerges from the shadows. They seem to be exceptionally stealthy. They must be scouts or guardians from some organized group that has taken up residence here. This group looks particularly dangerous. They seem well trained, well armed, by the look of them, well organized. You can't tell exactly how many there are, as they move in a tight formation to hide their numbers. Normally, we would have to attack the cultists, as that would be the only solution to getting this encounter. But I have modded this game and added a psychic and a magical way for you to deal with them. We'll go ahead and use our magic. This may look like the cultists' version of ninjas, but not even ninjas can easily dodge magical spells. Oof, well, they will with what we drew. We did not get a single face card. Let's see what card we first draw here. Okay, no problem. We'll use the pentacles on that. Why don't we make this a little easier for us? And we'll try using... What does this do first? Well, that seems pretty terrible. I don't think we want. In this case, I don't think we want to use that at all. That's a pretty garbage spell. So let's go over their spells now, everyone, because maybe I'm not really casting them, and I don't think I've explained them. This will remove non-face trick cards from the board and replace them with other trick cards from the deck. This is a 5 of wands, and I can take that 5 of wands. Maybe if this was like a 10 of wands, maybe I'd want to cast it to get rid of it. But it seems very limited. If it was face cards, well, that would make this a lot better, but unfortunately it is not. Now, Shrivel Flesh will turn cards in my hand into pages, a number of them equal to what I roll on the Pentacles dice. This card lets me discard a card from my hand, and then add the number, and it has to be a number card, and then add that number to all other cards of the same suit. So I could discard this 7 to increase this to a 10 and this to a 9, for example. So that's the options I've got. So I could cast Shrivel Flesh to get me an extra point. I don't think it's worth it. Let's just use the 7. Oh, it would have been worth it. We would have taken this card, and we would have earned the point there, and we would have tied the page. Let's make the attempt after all. Okay, we rolled equal to our pentacles, so we don't take any damage. We gather the energy we need. Can we successfully cast a spell? No, we do not. Okay. Spells, again, are one of the... Using a mage is one of the toughest things you can do in the game. I unfortunately cannot change the way the dice rolls. We can talk about modding a little bit later, I suppose. We fail. Maybe what you read about ninjas and magic wasn't true after all? Oh, that should be a penalty. That should not be a question mark. Cultist, ninjas, spell, failure, question mark. Needing only to draw one card, I'm not going to select the talisman. Alright, well, let's try it again. We could run. I could show you what running does to a creature like this. But I don't see the point. It would just slow us down. So we're going to go ahead and try to use sorcery. Besides, it's more difficult to run because of the current challenge, story token, which is active. I've had better hands. At least I have a target to try to cast Shrivel Flesh again. Let's use the page. Oh, wonderful. And the king. And we've won this challenge. Wow, we kind of annihilate them. You won the battle. The cultists' withered bodies lie strewn across the floor. Maybe you can find something useful on them. So I've changed the ninjas so that when you win with pentacles, you have a chance to get arcane power. The chance is equal to the chance you had of what would have normally been bullets. I'm actually expecting to get 2 arcane power cards here. There's one. There's 2. So we don't need 9 of this, so we'll just grab 2 of it and claim it. Something else about the game for balance is that many of these creatures might give you bullets, the cultists in particular, but getting arcane power is so rare in this game. One of the first things you should arguably do if you're playing a sorcerer, and if you don't have it, and of course you're playing the unmodified version of the game, which is to say, not my version, is you should probably take a sorcery edge that grants you arcane conservation. That way you can cast a spell during every combat encounter that uses sorcery. Then again, against the cultists, you wouldn't normally be able to use sorcery cards anyway. Anyway, we picked up 2 tokens. Let's spend them. And now, we can go ahead and select another skill card. So, I would like something that can increase our cups and wands. And there's only one specialist that does that, and that looks like that's going to be mechanical devices. So let's talk about this one really quick. So, defensive heroic feats and edges are very nice. Those will help us get through doors and avoid traps. Lock edges... Wait, I'm sorry. Defensive heroic feat edges are... Yeah, that's correct. So, those are things that make it easier for us to use our heroic feats. And also, the heroic feats generally will let us solve puzzles easier or avoid traps for defensive heroic feats. Lock edges will help us against all doors. A Cups of Bone will let us use the defensive heroic feat. And this will increase our wands and cups as we put more points into it. This will improve our wands 3 times, though, and our cups once, if I recall this skill card correctly. So, that's a bit tricky. That said, we're still going to select it. We just won't be that great at traps. We'll have to rely on our defensive heroic feat for it. So, you are the youngest student to ever graduate from MIT with 3 PhDs. If there's a gadget on this planet that you can't take apart and then put back together so that it works even better, you haven't found it yet. You hate it when people call you Sparks or Q. Alright, 2 more points and we'll increase our wands, and then I can go about doing locks. Let's also double back and save the game. That was nice, getting 2 points of experience from those guys. You can get a lot of experience, by the way, from the random encounters. I think they have... Well, they don't have the best chance, but it's a good chance to get experience points from them. A writhing mass of insects. This is a nightmare to get this here. You notice that the floor in front of you seems to be moving. You step closer, thinking that it must be some sort of optical illusion. Suddenly, you step on something and it makes a squishing noise. You look down and see a writhing carpet of insects covering the floor. Scattered around the insects are the bones of their victims. You have never seen so many insects together all at once. Waves seem to undulate across an ocean of insects. The patterns are almost mesmerizing. You get a very bad feeling looking at this. It makes you afraid. Does it? Does it make us afraid? I don't think it does. They're just bugs. Yeah, Craig Holden's used to bugs. It's torture instruments that he doesn't like whatsoever. Your mind is strong. You've seen things far worse than this. After all, you spent 2 weeks at the odd survival school eating bugs and some other things that you would rather not think about. Wonder if he was on Fear Factor at some point. Is that show even still on? You count dozens of different species, and you wonder why they would all be gathered here together. The bones indicates a food source of some sort, but you wouldn't expect so many different types. Centipedes, cockroaches, ants, spiders? If you want to keep moving down the corridor, you're going to have to step on or over them. Okay, I have heavily modified this encounter, but not at this level. You see, we can either step back a spot, or try to step over them. Stepping over them is actually kind of very difficult, and if you fail, you end up having to fight a bug insect. I'm sorry, a bug insect. Wow, Tim. A giant creature made from all of the bugs which comprise this floor. If you defeat that creature, you go right back to this option. So it's similar to the demon in the fire. I don't like that. This is extremely punishing to characters like our mage, who simply cannot realistically get over it. It also gives you the opportunity to farm it, if you really wanted to, which is a good way to gain experience or what have you. So I have changed this encounter such that if we fail to step across the insects and fight the swarm of them, and we defeat that swarm, it removes this encounter from the board. Let's try it. Besides, we need to step across it anyway. You decide to keep going and carefully step across the carpet of insects as best you can. Oh, it looks like we'll actually succeed at it. You shuffle here and there, careful not to disturb the giant colony. A few try to crawl up your legs to bite you, but they are easily brushed away. Oh, so if I go into this area, when we step back out here, we have to deal with that writhing mass of insects again, but I'm willing to take that chance. Oof. Okay. There will be I think a physical test or a trap here that you have to pass in order to get across this beam. Thankfully, it looks like this room may lead to the other side. I still want to check this for clue tokens, and there is none. Do not click on this unless you plan to go across. You cannot step backwards. Once you step on this, you're forced to make the attempt to cross it, just as a heads up. I'll leave the conservatory alone at the moment. Hello, this looks like a kitchen. A servant's kitchen, perhaps. A refrigerator was moved. There's arcane symbols underneath of it. We have a... This was moved as well. What moved everything like this? Maybe a poltergeist. The ghost chef. You see what at first looks like a blur of light and shadow moving back and forth in a circular pattern. It might even be the reflection from some nearby mirror or window. Suddenly, you see a ghost materialize before you. It's dressed in the classic attire of a chef with an apron and a distinctive cooking hat. You stop dead in your tracks and try to compose yourself. Your mind races contemplating this ghostly creature that has suddenly appeared before you. The fear it elicits is of course natural, but confronting the supernatural is never easy. Let's see if we're used to seeing ghosts yet. It doesn't look like Craig Holden is. No, he's still not used to it. You feel as if your sanity is slowly slipping away. That would be correct. With losing one's sanity is indeed slowly losing sanity. It is slowly slipping away. The ghostly chef floats about in a circle as if moving from working station to working station. It seems completely absorbed in what it is doing and does not seem to be paying you any attention. Alright, let's try to communicate with it. You decide to try and make contact with the ghostly chef to find out what has it so animated. With a target number of 2, I am willing to throw this challenge in the hope of getting better cards. We'll do so. You enter a trance and reach out to the ghost. It turns to look at you with an angry face. No time to talk. It needs more cowbell. More cowbell? What? What is up with that? We'll try again. Nope. Yep, such is the risk that we're taking for trying to do better than just a handful of no-face cards. Okay, this is acceptable. 2 3s by a Knight of Cups, Queen of Pentacles, and Queen of Swords. Well, we could use the 3 here, actually, and score some points. I would have to risk that there's another Pentacles card coming up. I will risk it, though. Oh, there goes our Queen of Swords. Ah, but we were able to steal 2 more points thanks to our 3. You enter a trance and make contact with the ghostly chef and inquire about its work. It seems to mutter something and then snaps around to look at you with a fervent intensity. It wants something from you. I've lost my knife. I think it ran off somewhere. Have you found it? It's very sharp and very strong-willed. Has a mind of its own, you know. Please tell it to come here at once. You have a bad feeling about this. Hello. This could be one of 2 things. I mean, well, it could be multiple things. It is likely to be an axe-wielding madman or a robot. We're not going to be a match for the madman, so we're just going to leave it there right now and keep exploring other places. A freezer filled with what looks like human bodies in bags. Yep, that's not creepy at all. There is a good chance, though, that the knife the chef wants is in this room. This might be it. The possessed knife. You look down and see a large knife resting on a wooden surface. Blood has pooled around it, and there are several pieces of stubby flesh scattered around it as well. Suddenly, you see 2 pale eyes reflected on the surface of the blade. No, not reflected, but rather projected from some place inside the blade. You recoil in terror from the vision. The eyes seem to pierce through to your very soul. They mask a dark and powerful evil will. You shudder and force yourself to resist it. You can feel it probing your psychic defenses. As tempting as it is to play the 10, I think I'd rather play the Knight. It'll bring us closer to our target goal, and the only thing the Knight will take that the 10 won't is the Page. Besides any higher cards, in which case I would have regretted not playing the Knight at that point anyway. You have kept your sanity. You have shrugged off the evil spirit's attempt to dominate us. I'm getting a little nervous, getting more and more sanity. I don't know if I've explained it to everyone, but the game has some sort of balance factory in it. The better that you're doing, especially the more health and sanity that you have, the more likely you are upon failure to take massive amounts of sanity and life loss. You gaze down at the knife, but try to keep your gaze from locking onto the mesmerizing eyes within the blade. You feel an oppressive presence in the room with you. The knife radiates pure evil. You resolve to approach this artifact with caution and wonder how many throats this thing has slit. So there are two options for us. If we are of the physical type of investigator, we can master the knife in order to complete the quest. Otherwise, we can try to communicate with the spirit. Both are dangerous. We will attempt to communicate with it, though. Communicating with something like this is always dangerous. There is no telling how powerful this possessed knife really is. You decide to risk it and enter a trance. Unlike the other times you see me try to game the system, I will not do so here. If I'm able to win, we will do so. I could have taken the failure with 1 point, but I do not know what the knife's penalty list is. I have a hunch we might take a wound or an instant death, so this is not a challenge I am willing to try to play around with. You enter a trance and are immediately assaulted with the desire to harm yourself. Before you know it, the blade is in your hand, but you fight back and make it listen to your command. The knife obeys. It will return to the chef shortly. Darn it! I've lost my knife. Oh. I think we... Alright, okay. So this is our first quest that we can complete. Let's totally turn it in. I believe as a reward, we will get 1 experience point. And then be allowed to draw 3 more cards, I think. You enter a trance and tell the chef that you have located his knife. You had to insist a little, but it got the point. The ghostly chef is still moving in an energetic circle, seemingly wrapped in its ectoplasmic food preparations. You wonder if it couldn't leave this all behind, or is just being punished for some foul poisoning. Holy crap, a trump card, and one of my favorite trump cards to boot. Justice. Awesome. Wow, that is awesome. So first, let's put our 1 point of experience into increasing wands. By the way, nothing can make you lose experience points, so we could just hold on to it, but I like placing it as I earn it or I'll forget to spend it. Trump cards. Let's go over trump cards really quick. A trump card in a challenge is the highest card. You will never flip over a trump card unless you won it in a challenge and then it's yours to keep. You can use a trump card once and then you lose it from your inventory. Trump cards, most of them, encourage you to not spend them. So for example, we could do a challenge and the king could show up. And normally, maybe you want to spend a trump card because that's more powerful than a king. I think a trump card is worth 6 points. So you play the trump card on the king and you earn 11 points for that challenge. But trump cards have special effects. Justice makes it so that anytime we draw an ace in any challenge, we gain 1 point. But this only works as long as we possess justice. So I love this card because the game loves throwing aces into my hand. It's not uncommon to end up getting like 3 aces for me. Well, actually that is uncommon, but it's not rare for that to happen to me. Especially as I begin to draw more and more cards as we get more and more powerful. So I am glad to have that card. We will search 1 more room, everyone, and then we'll be calling it a session for tonight, I think. Or rather for this video. Alright, we'll search the larder. Hello? The chef. Is this the butler? A head on a stake. You think you see a disembodied head floating in the gloom. As you near its location, you realize that it is a head of a man mounted on a stake that protrudes from the floor. Dried blood stains the stake in what was once a pool on the floor. You are startled when the eyes of the head flutter open. This thing is animated by some curse or forbidden sorcery, and it almost seems to be smiling at you. You lock gazes with the head, and you feel chilled to the bone. You must fight to keep your sanity. So we drew an ace, and have thus earned 1 point for that ace. And thanks to that one, we have won the challenge, so thank you, Ace. Of course, if you were a King of Wands, that would have been even better, but I'll take what I can get. Your mind is strong. You smile back at the head on the stake. Woof, barely passing it. I guess you've probably made the connection right now, perhaps, how this head got severed from its body. The head on the stake is obviously animated by some evil sorcery, most likely some necromantic artifice. Such a curse would require great power and forbidden knowledge. Its gaze is locked on you, and you sense an intelligence of some sort. Okay, we can try talking to it. Let's go ahead and do so. You sense a desire to communicate from the head. It almost looks like it is trying to move its mouth. Maybe you should try to find out what the head wants. That is nice to have 2 kings in our hand. It's unfortunately not as nice that we could only use one of them. The head speaks to you. Much to your horror, you find out that he was an occultist artifact collector who stumbled upon this place 15 years ago. He wants your help in a personal vendetta. The head was once a disciple of Thomas Vaughan, the 17th century alchemist. Using Vaughan's elixir, he had managed to extend his life immensely. He was searching for Vaughan's orb of transmutation on behalf of the Palladian Order. His search was cut tragically short when he overconfidently approached a cursed guillotine. He thought that it might hide the artifact. In a trance, he placed his head inside the guillotine's lock and ended up in a basket. A mischievous imp thought he would make a nice decoration and mounted him here. He wants you to destroy the guillotine and break his curse. He teaches you a Vorchadumian release chant that will give you the power to safely dispel the sorcery that binds the curse to the guillotine. He then requests that you return to him afterwards to help free his soul. Well, everyone, well, I think we'll stop here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care, everyone.